We're here right now to focus on the battle between Vettel and Hamilton, which of course ended when Vettel spun as Hamilton was overtaking him. And I've got Kevin Turner and Stuart Codling here to discuss what we perhaps learned, or perhaps what we've seen that may be a repeat of what we've seen in the past when these two go wheel to wheel. And Kev, let's get straight into it. Vettel's 2018 ended up being defined really by his own errors, and the talk over the winter was that he's got to put those in a box, write 2018 on it and lock that box up forever, never to be seen again. Has that box been reopened already with the spin that we saw with no contact with Hamilton? He just lost it when Hamilton's overtaken him on the outside.
Yeah, he's either reopened the box or just started one with 2019. I'm going to put all my mistakes in here. But remember 2017 as well with Singapore. You know, it's potentially a third campaign. You know, he's already had more errors in this one that you can think Lewis had probably for all the last 2 years. And he just spends too much of his time facing the wrong way. You know, it would have been good probably for the sport if it had just been contained in 2018. But yeah, it's already looking like he's not quite there again in wheel-to-wheel battles, and he's got the added pressure this time, of course, of a quick guy in the other Ferrari. So he's not just fighting Mercedes. He's got Leclerc, whereas obviously last year normally he had Raikkonen there to sort of help him out, except at Monza.
Now, Codders, we've talked in the past about, and Kev mentioned there, that we've seen these errors from Vettel before. We've seen perhaps what you could call mental lapses, even things like the Baku safety car incident 2 years ago, where it seemed that whatever Hamilton was up to had Vettel rattled. And that was the first time we really saw an indication from Lewis of maybe, I think I might have this guy's number. And everything we've seen since then seems to reaffirm that from our view as outsiders. And you can almost feel the confidence growing in Lewis every time one of these clashes or moments happens. So what we saw this weekend in Bahrain just solidified that feeling in Lewis's mind that he's got Vettel's number now.
Yeah, he probably won't have seen during the race, he'll watch it on the replay no doubt, that Leclerc basically owned Vettel right at the beginning and breezed past him on the straight. And then when Seb had a chance to repass him at turn 4, thought the better of it. And that kind of set their relationship, for this race at least, in stone for me. Later on, when Lewis was coming back at Sebastian, it really did look to me like he had the better of Vettel. I was just writing in my notebook, Vettel working better under pressure than before, when he went and spun it, and once again, out comes a bit of notebook. And there was a phase where Lewis sort of looked like he had Vettel on the ropes, and Vettel really was dealing with that pressure, but then just under sustained pressure, he cracked, and it was a slightly different order of error than last year at Monza, where he sort of spun midway through the corner. It looked like it broke away under traction, which suggested to me sort of slightly over-eager right foot. But once again, like you say, he was owned, and Lewis will have accelerated away from that, going, ha-ha.
Well, it's only going to it makes the gap bigger and bigger, because every time something like this happens, Vettel's going to be, down in the dumps again, and Lewis is, you can almost see I think you could, the lap before, 2 laps before, when it was an outrageous send around the outside that he tried, and ended up actually slightly off the road. And I think he kind of knew that probably wasn't going to work. But it was already kind of crowding Vettel, I'm here, I'm going to do something. And so that, when he actually then tried the move where he didn't go off, actually he did just down the road, Vettel just spun out the way for him. So I think Lewis just knows every time there's a wheel-to-wheel situation, he's got the confidence that he'll do it, and that then becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, really.
Yeah, it's what the late James Hunt would describe as showing them the nose. And I think if you show Sebastian Vettel your nose often enough, he might just sort of just crack a little bit, which you wouldn't expect someone who's won that many world championships to do. And yet in combat, time and again, it happens.
But if we're drawing the conclusion perhaps that when the cars are equal enough that they can fight each other, Hamilton has got Vettel in his pocket, based on what we saw at the weekend, does Hamilton now need to start looking across at the other side of the Ferrari garage, which, as you said, Kev, hasn't been an area to be concerned about in the past, because as Kimi Raikkonen, he did his job, he didn't rock the boat, but he was not enough of a threat on enough weekends to cause Mercedes any problems, certainly. But will Hamilton have perhaps looked at that weekend? He was very good at offering sympathy to Leclerc after the race. Will he also be thinking, right, you're the unknown quantity here, not Vettel. I know how to deal with him. But does he now need to start thinking about this guy who could perhaps become a threat sooner rather than later?
He does, and it's a little bit like that blank sheet, like he talked about Max Verstappen. It's like, I don't know quite, I haven't had a proper chance at fight with him yet. So he's in that same boat with Leclerc, and I'm sure he will have him clocked as I'm going to have to worry about this guy. But I think there's also perhaps a little bit of sort of game playing going on there, because if the more that he can see Leclerc doing well and going, oh, well done, mate, your time will come. He's like building him up. It's like brilliant, because the Ferraris they're going to be in that situation where who do they support? Do they just step back and let the two of them get on with it, in which case they'll take points off each other? It's perfect for Lewis, really, because at the moment it looks like the Merc-Ferrari battle is going to be really close. So it'd be fantastic for him if Leclerc can come along and take points off Vettel, rattle him a bit, Ferrari a bit of internal politics, and Hamilton gets his head down and then banks a load of points. So I can see that he's both a threat but also a bonus for Lewis at this stage.
John Surtees and Graham Hill, we're going back into the past,
Kev,
you're loving this.
Please continue.
They both talked about during their time that they sort of almost had a little mental logbook of the other drivers, and they sort of had their cards marked, who you had to watch out for, who you would overtake and then not give a second thought to, people who you'd come up behind and quite frankly you could take liberties with on your way past. And I get the feeling that other people with Charles Leclerc, they don't quite have his number yet. You could see that really Leclerc is gaining some sort of advantage over his own teammate at this early stage in the season.
Well, I think that's also partly because he's exuding more confidence. You could even tell by the body language of the car that it's like, I've taken this position and I'm goodbye, rather than with Vettel, it's like, oh, can I? No. And that's just the difference. Like, immediately, Leclerc already looks more confident on track.